And I was thinking about what do you say to an anorexic person? Do you say, oh, yes, you are looking kind of fat? Or what you're doing is great for you. I remember the first time I ever actually tried to help an anorexic person. I had met a few, and from a distance, seen people that obviously were struggling, and had a couple of friends who actually had bulimia or anorexia. It was pretty obvious, but I had never really tried to help them. Like, I didn't understand what was actually going on in them until I think it was the first year or the beginning of the second year when I was at Bethel. This gal came in. She was a lady in her late 20s, and she was about 70 pounds, 71, 2, 3 pounds, and a woman that should have been 120, 130 pounds. And she sat in my office, and we talked through. She actually came in for help, and okay, this is going to be challenging. I've never actually tried to help anyone who had anorexia. I've never even talked to anybody who had. I don't even know why they have anorexia. I don't even understand what's going on. And she began to tell me how obsessed she is of being fat, that she's fat. I mean, she's obviously skin and bones. She obviously looks like she's going to die from starvation. And she's telling me that she's fat. And I remember sitting there thinking, well, she obviously has stood in a mirror before. She obviously has seen herself every day in a mirror, and yet what she sees isn't what she sees. What she sees isn't what she perceives. Are you following me? And I'm like, do I tell her, how do I connect with her? Do I tell her, is it going to help her to say, oh, no, you really look good like that? Or, yeah, I think that your diet works fine for you. I connect with people that are, thin like that. You were born thin. It's no, she's obviously has a problem. If she doesn't change the way she sees herself and ultimately the way she nourishes herself, she's literally going to die. And so this is the challenge we have in culture, because sin kills us. And so when somebody lives a lifestyle of sin, trying to connect with them by pretending that what they're doing is okay, in my mind, is not a great way to connect with people. But on the other side of that, teaching and living out a noble, righteous life sometimes creates a standard for people that they feel shame and guilt, and they don't want to be around you. And this is a challenge. And I was just thinking about some ways through this dream and through the connection with John. I was sitting just in my chair, and I was thinking, how can I help John connect? And these are just really simple, but I thought, first of all, we need to be humble by remembering where we came from. John is in the same place. I've been in that place before. I've been in a place away from God, feeling shame, not measuring up. I grew up like that. And so I think sometimes it's important that when people are stuck in shame, that empathy comes from remembering where you've come from. I was thinking the second one is that we love people for who they are and not for who they should be or could be. I think sometimes we, in our prophetic nature, especially in our movement, we sometimes love people, maybe unknowingly, and put pressure on people for who they should be, who they should become, like the vision God has for them. And I think that people need to know that I am loved not because I perform, but because of who I am. That I am just loved. And I think it's important for us to not just say it, but there needs to be a feeling that I love you not for what you can be, not for what you can become, and not for what you can do for me, but I love you just because you're you. We say to young people all the time, don't marry someone so you can change them. Bad plan. I won't have you raise your hands if you did that. But all of us in the front row have counseled people who have gotten married for the potential they see in someone. And I'm like, that's all fine. It's good to have someone believe in you, but you need to love me for who I am, not for who I could be. The third one I thought of was, sometimes we parade our accomplishments in front of the broken, we don't even know we're doing it. This person I'm calling John, I've sent him a couple of my books. And I think I was doing it with a good heart, but I think it came across to him like, I've written books, and what have you done with your life? he says to me, in the times when we've been together, I've never really done anything with my life. Like, you write books and you help people, and I don't really do anything with my life. And I realized that day on the phone, when he hung up, I realized, like, in my efforts to encourage him, I've actually brought my flashy, shiny stuff to our relationship. And what it's actually done is caused him to feel like he doesn't measure up. Like, you've accomplished something and I haven't. How many understand God doesn't value me because I accomplished something? Because I have a nice car, a nice house. I grew up poor. I mean, was I less? Did God love me less when I was poor? Did he love me less in Weaverville when we were broke? No, it's just like money, things, they're all nice, but how many know they don't take the place of people you love? Number four. We need to give people hope without requiring them to change. That seems kind of contradiction. Like, we need to give people hope, but oftentimes when we give people hope, we're actually saying, I believe you can change. And I think do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm saying sometimes in our zeal to give people hope, we're actually saying, there's something wrong with you because you should change. I love when people come up and they say, gosh, you've lost so much weight. I think, well, the last time you saw me, you must have thought I was fat. Subconsciously, people are like, you were fat last time I saw you. You lost so much weight. It's like, they're trying to give you a compliment, but on the other side of it, it's like they're saying, oh, this is what I was thinking of you when I had a relationship with you before. However long that was. I haven't seen you for 6 months. Boy, you lost a lot of weight. In other words, you were so fat last time I saw you. And sometimes in our zeal to give people hope, we actually say, you're not measuring up. You're not good enough. Something's wrong with you. Number 5, be empathetic. Listen from the heart without feeling the need to correct their opinions. This is pretty big for all of us preachers. Like, there's something about, when somebody says, I have a conversation with John like, the world is just a hard place, and, basically, it's a dog eat dog. And when people talk like that, I feel like I should jump in and say, well, maybe that's the way it is for you, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. Jesus died on the cross for you, so it's not a dog eat dog world. You got somebody in your corner. But sometimes I think that when we jump in with let me fix your thinking, it says, you're not good enough. You're stupid. Let me tell you the way it's supposed to be. Number 6, show an interest in their lives. I'm thinking, of course, of John, but lots of other people that I know too. But sometimes it's hard to find interest in people's lives when they're not motivated. To be totally honest, like, John's life is about going to the bar and watching football. It's like, I like football, but I don't get up in the morning for it. Like, I don't know all the stats and all the players of all the teams because I just watch my team and not living for the game. So what I'm getting at is, like, sometimes it's hard to connect with people who don't have a great vision for the life, and yet that's partly how we connect with people. It's like, how's your team? What's going on? Did you watch the game? Just like taking a simple interest in, like, what interests you may not interest me, but I'm interested in you. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not interested in your interest, but I'm interested in you. Therefore, I'll figure out a way to be interested in your interest.